I think as a pro athlete, like you live in this weird ivory tower where like I said, I got the chance to one-on-one fist fight the toughest dudes in the world for a decade.
Yeah.
Every Sunday in front of millions of people wearing white spandex. And like when you break it down like that, people are like, really? I'm like, yeah, I never touched a ball, right? Like I just got to basically impose my will. And I think that like level of addiction of like, I know exactly who I am and what I'm doing. And I know the results of my hard work.
Right.
And, dude, I was telling somebody the other day, I'm like, don't be upset about the results you didn't get because you didn't do the work.
Out here, the stakes are real. Effective preparation starts with fitness, but it requires so much more. This show explores the tools, knowledge, resilience, and skills needed to be ready when it matters the most. Join me, Rich Froning, as we apply the decades of wisdom I've gained through training and competition to hunting in the backcountry. This is In Pursuit, brought to you by Mountain Ops, in collaboration with Mayhem Hunt. All right, Bird, you ready?
Yes.
All right, we got John Welbourn, NFL, former NFL player, CrossFit athlete for a little while. So I watched you on Every Second Counts.
One week.
Yeah. 1 week.
Well, yeah. So, I was trained to go back and play in the NFL, and they asked me to do the CrossFit Games. And I was like, what's this CrossFit Games?
Let's do it.
And they were like, well, you're going to have to go and compete. And I'm like, let's do it. So a week before training camp started, I went out there and did it after doing CrossFit for about 10 days.
That's awesome.
And then I showed up, and it was awful.
Yeah.
It was terrible.
That would have been
08.
So it was Every Second Count. So I was the one that finished with the 30 squat, clean,
Yeah.
and jerks or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
It was
I remember
terrible.
I watched that documentary when I first got into CrossFit. So it was you, Spiel.
Yeah.
Who all were the main characters? on
It
that?
was Josh Bridges.
Josh
No, I'm
Bridges.
sorry.
Yeah,
No, Josh Everett.
Josh Everett.
And
you,
then there was myself, Dutch, and then there was another dude who I can't remember his name.
Fitzgerald. James Fitzgerald.
Yeah.
Wasn't he in there?
Yeah. OPT.
OPT. There you
And
go.
then there was another guy, but I can't remember his name.
I didn't realize you were just doing it to do it, not that you were like.
I had a lot of ego.
Talked you into that.
I just had a lot of ego.
Okay.
I was like, no, it was, man. So I was living in Newport Beach.
Okay.
And I used to train at Athletes Performance, which was up in Carson.
Okay. Yep.
And so anybody that's from LA knows it's like not very far. It's probably about 19 or 20 miles.
Yep.
It could be 30 minutes or it could be 4
an hour,
hours.
yeah.
So I got to the point where I was just tired of driving to Carson every day. So I'd go up there 3 days a week, and then I Googled and I found a gym that was right around the corner that had bumper plates, which was a CrossFit gym. And I showed up there, and the guy was like, hey, can I just pay to work out here? I want to use your equipment.
Yeah.
And that's how it all kind of came about. And then I guess the owner told CrossFit that this NFL dude was training there. And then they reached out, and then they invited me.
All right.
And I didn't necessarily know what it was.
Yeah.
And I was like,
some Olympic lifting in there.
yeah, I like they said it would be some heavy stuff and a little bit of running. And I was like, great, I haven't run more than like 30 yards at a time because we're only doing speed work.
About 6 second bursts. Yep.
Yeah, just nothing but speed work.
Yep.
Like the conditioning stuff, I had at the time, I believed that having aerobic base was the most overrated thing in the planet.
Right.
Lift heavy weights, sprint, rest and recover, and we'll be good.
You're good. I mean, you were a guard, right? Guard or tackle?
I played guard so I played tackle in college, and then I started my first year at tackle, and then they moved me to guard. Okay. And then I played tackle and guard and kind of moved in between over those 10 years.
So you, at that point, you were how much you weigh?
I showed up at CrossFit Games at 308 pounds.
Wow.
So I was like, so every year I played the majority of my NFL career between 306 and 308, but I went to camp at 312.
Yep.
So I was probably closer to 312.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
And I showed up and I'm looking around and the Spielers there are like 135 pounds, and I'm like, I'm going to get killed.
I'm dead.
Yeah.
What were there was a sprint or
it was like
200 meter type sprint?
No, it was an 800 meter hill run.
Oh.
Yeah. And then I mistakenly got selected to do the run first. I should have done it last because at that point I was just done.
Yeah. And then was there a deadlift burpee?
Yeah, there was deadlifts and burpees, and then there was a pull-up, chest-to-bar pull-up and thruster.
Yep,
The problem was that they left the racks out, or the rigs were outside.
Doesn't sound right.
And they were all rusted.
Yeah, no, it doesn't sound like
So the very first rep, I sheared off both of my palms. Yeah. And actually you can see it in the video. I think I'm biting the skin and spitting it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, like both sheared off to the point
where...
they
did not give the context of that you were like straight off the NFL, like no, in the video. So if anybody gets a chance, go back and watch it. It's pretty good.
That would have been like, because you were drafted in 99.
Yeah, so I was going in my 10th year. Wow. Yeah, I was going in my 10th year, and I was like, yeah, I'll win this thing. Working out, I'm good at that. I didn't realize that they were stacking the deck against me.
they were setting you up.
Yeah.
It didn't sound like anything they would do.
No, and the worst part about it is I just didn't know like,
Yeah.
yeah.
You just didn't know what to do. You didn't know what the methodology was. You didn't know what you were stepping into. You didn't know any of it.
Yeah. So it just showed up.
Yeah.
But also I'm the type where if like somebody's going to throw something out, I'm like,
I'm going to try it. Yeah, let's try it. Well, so then from there, you start CrossFit Football. So that's where I first, obviously I watched the documentary.
Sure.
And then when I was a strength coach a little while at Tennessee Tech under Chip Pugh.
Yeah.
And so he was big on CrossFit Football.
Well, what's wild is I wasn't a coach and never thought about coaching. It was actually Glassman that hit me up and asked me, kind of pitched me on the idea of like, hey, can you come help us?
A subject matter expert, essentially. Yeah.
Actually the way he framed it. So when I ended up getting hurt in my 10th year, I came home and I ended up having knee surgery.
Yep.
And I was trying to reboot my life, which, at the time I was planning to go to law school.
Yeah. Okay.
And so I graduated from Berkeley in 4 years, got my master's in my fifth, or did my master's work in my fifth. And then there was a scholarship to go to law school at Bolt. It's called Berkeley now. And so I applied for that, and that was kind of my like, hey, I'm going to play for like a year or two in the NFL. Like, I mean, honestly, like how long do white guys play? Right? Like I was like
ran into the back of every single. Being an offensive lineman looks terrible.
It's the most fun job on the planet.
I bet it's awesome, but just I feel like you guys get folded up on the regular.
It's the only way I could describe it is imagine getting to go out and do whatever you want physically to somebody, and then they blow a whistle and you get to walk back and do it again.
Without any real repercussion.
Yeah. And you get to one-on-one fist fight the toughest dudes on the planet. So at the end of the day, you know exactly how good or bad you are, which is great for like whether or not ego, whatever it is, but like there's no like, hey, take the toughest dudes on the planet, let's strap it up and get it going.
That's awesome.
And I loved it. I loved every ounce of it, and I was really sad when it ended.
Yeah, I bet.
And so I had to figure out something else to do.
Something else you enjoyed.
So our family business, what I was planning to do was go back to law school, and then that's when Glassman hit me up, and it was kind of an interesting pitch. The way he framed it was something like that. How somebody says something you do one time, and you're like, man, I never thought about it like that. And I had no desire to coach,
right,
or really kind of get into this role. And he said, would you help us develop our technique or our technology on how to train athletes? And I had never thought about training as a technology.
Yeah.
And the way that he said it, I was like, oh, that's really interesting. And then he asked me, he's like, what are your theories on training? And I was like,
lift things.
I can tell you
things.
that I've been fortunate to work with the best people on the planet.
Yeah.
I was recounting a conversation I had with Charlie Francis after I hurt myself my rookie year. Mauro De Pasquale put me in touch with Charlie, and I talked to him. Ben Johnson, sprint coach. Yep. All our theories on sprinting come from him. Yeah, cool. I had a guy named Todd Rice. Rafael Ruiz. Todd Rice is the guy that trains the Booster brothers.
Okay.
So I just had these like amazing strength coaches.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, just like at every turn I had these like, incredible dudes. And so I just kind of smart enough to aggregate all this information. Yep. And I was like, I can do this.
Yeah.
And then they asked me to do CrossFit Football, which I even said to them, it's a terrible name.
No. I thought it was a cool name. But
but people showed up legitimately with cleats thinking that we were going to like run plays.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
And I was like,
that's not how we're doing this.
No, I was like, I'm just trying to teach and the original idea was like if CrossFit sat in the middle, you got CrossFit Endurance on one side.
Intervals? That was kind of the idea.
Well, I don't know. And then on the outside, there was like CrossFit Football, which was they were going to like how to use CrossFit for sport-specific training.
Right.
And I was like, okay, I can do this translation. So we ended up launching it, and we got like 17,000 hits the first day. And then they hit me up and said, you got to come teach a seminar. And I was like, so the seminar was awful. We taught people how to lift weights, and then I made them watch football plays on my cut-ups.
There you go.
And then I went through and was like, okay, here. And
this is why we do this.
And then people were like, and then I had to like take a step back and realize like, like the tenets of athleticism and a lot of these pieces, like this is what seems so basic and simple for me. I realized
you got to not dumb it down, but you have to like,
Well, I just didn't think normal people wanted to know this stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Like at
the time, I thought that, and this, as you guys know, because you guys live in kind of a little bit of an ivory tower too, to some extent, you live in this bubble where all your friends are pro athletes. And so you think like most normal people, like, what do? Run marathons? Like do a triathlon? I'd go to the gym and I'd see people kind of lifting weights, and I just kind of assumed that like there was professional athletes, and then the rest of the world just kind of did like Pilates.
Right.
So when I got out, I couldn't believe that like normal people wanted to know this
wanted
stuff.
to suffer and train hard. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, and I was like, where are these people? I can't believe there's all these people that want to know this stuff.
Right.
So it was really, it wasn't the methodology and it wasn't CrossFit HQ. It was actually the community of people that were interested, which is why I stuck around.
Yeah, heck yeah.
And those are the people that I really liked. And like, I always go back whenever anything happens. I'm like, you guys don't remember what it was like for the people that showed up to the seminar. It was like bringing fire to Eskimos.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And people were so excited. They were so thirsty for it.
Yeah.
And then like all the other stuff was just kind of like what we had to suffer with.
Right. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I remember those days. I was just out of my 4-year degree in exercise science, and then
Where'd you go to college?
Tennessee Tech here. Okay. And then Chip. I was actually a firefighter. The reason I found CrossFit was Chip was teaching one of the like training for performance or something, one of the classes we had to take. Mm-hmm. And like similar to you, probably in the beginning, he would just put on a CrossFit.com video and be like, yeah, look at this. I remember one of the first workouts I watched was like burpee mile. And then he showed a guy doing Fran, and I think it was Bill Grunler in turnout gear. Mm-hmm. And so I was a firefighter.
Makes sense.
Hell yeah, I could do this. And so that's kind of the rest is history from there. And then he offered me a job as an assistant or a grad assistant. And
I think we taught our first commercial offering at Tennessee Tech.
Oh, really? I think so. I think it was before I was there, but it was up in the in the stadium up top. Mm-hmm. They've got an incredible facility now, but
it was awful.
It was trash.
I totally bombed it.
Yeah. Chip liked it.
They liked it, but I just remember like my lecture was terrible. Mm-hmm. I didn't know what I was teaching. I got up there and I realized I was like, oh man, like I have to one of my like our family friends, like, you know, you end up with these kid friends where your kids are friends and then the parents and then the kids aren't friends anymore, but you still keep the parents. Yep. Yeah. So my buddy Thad's wife, Michelle, always is like, her joke is like, do better, be better.
Yeah.
And so I had this like moment where I got up there and my presentation was not good because one, I didn't know the source material and I wasn't an expert.
Right.
And I just remember like echoing in my head, like, you have to do better. And I ended up going back, and that was where I started like really digging in on the methodology and deciding like who I am, what do I believe, what am I trying to teach? If I'm going to influence people, it has to be both good and authentic.
Right. Yeah, and I think basically from what I gathered from it was you took the CrossFit methodology, which is a general physical preparedness, but we know the demands of the sport of football.
Yeah.
And so you
or just sport in general.
Sport in general, right. Yeah. But you can adapt that. And that's what we've done on the hunt side of things is like, we know what we're training for within some type of, but I still think, a lot of guys or girls get out there and think, oh, hunting, I need endurance and just time on my feet, which you do. Sure. But you also need a lot of this other stuff. And some of that is burst energy, like we know the different energy pathways and those types of things. And so we're training people. Granted, we are leaning more towards the endurance side, especially closer to the event. But, there's this whole, I think we get caught up in thinking that, it's got to be, there's no plan. But there is a plan. You look at a season or a year and you're like, and I think of it as for hunting, like I'm getting guys, girls ready for September. Mm-hmm. And so, in January, we're building strength, right? You take a college football or
Are you talking about periodization?
Yeah, exactly.
How dare you?
I know, right?
How dare you talk about periodization?
You can't do that. But we still keep some intensity and still, keep a base. But, hey, we do specialize in a certain area. But then it slowly transitions. We're talking periodization to where they're ready for their event, right? Mm-hmm. And so I look at it as hunting season as their event or our event. And
they're just their season in general.
Exactly. And so I enjoy it, similar to you probably, where you kind of geek out on it and it gets lost where people are like, I don't care. Just show me what to do.
Just tell me what to do.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why you've been successful.
But I enjoy it, man. It's similar to what you're talking about. You just start geeking out on numbers and just, stuff that most people are like, I don't care why the number or why the movements go that way or do whatever. So, but I used a ton of the CrossFit Football. So, I took the ideas of
before CrossFit Football, strength was just another element. That it was actually, we started prescribing a strength workout and a conditioning workout at the same time, in the same day.
Yeah. Yep.
And they were like, 2 workouts in one
die.
day?
People are going to die.
Yeah.
Blows people's mind. I remember the first time we did a 2-a-day, people were like,
I got hate mail.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
Yeah, I get 200 emails. How dare you? And I'm like, well, it's called strength and conditioning. We're going to do them on both days. We're going to do both,
and then we can combine them into one, too.
And then you guys started doing 29 workouts in a day.
Yeah, that's true. We did kind of mess that up for everybody.
The next people, so Nicholas Romanoff, who was the post guy, incredible coach.
Yep.
I didn't really buy into the methodology as much, but like for his knowledge as a Russian sports scientist, like unbelievable. I mean, he was University of Moscow, and so we had a lot of great conversations. And he brought up a really cool point once because I was asking about like, why is it some athletes can handle more training load than others? So my roommate in college, a guy named Kevin Doherty, and Doe benched like 450 pounds in high school, squatted like in the 6s. And then came to college, and every single day he was in college, he got weaker to the point where he barely benched 300 pounds as a senior. And I remember asking him, like, Doe, like,
what happened?
What's going on? He's like, he goes, I'm just tired.
The volume.
I can't do it because to play college football, you have to be a big monkey is what I call it. Like we would train 6 days a week, and it was like, progressive overload.
Yeah.
And he was like, I trained 3 days a week in high school. and like I feel tired all the time, and and I just can't handle the load. So I asked Dr. Romanoff about it, and he goes, they did and I hope it's been many years. I'll tell his story, and this is Dr. Romanoff's story, not mine.
Yep.
But they did research, and they looked at like different monkeys, and there were certain monkeys that played and battled and fought and did everything and moved like 20 hours a day, and then there were other monkeys that only moved enough to eat and were very like sedentary and rested a lot. So what they did is they flipped the environments. And they put the one monkey. He
says he's one of those.
Oh, he is? Okay. They took the monkeys that moved all the time and they locked them in a cage where they couldn't move.
That sounds like me.
And then they took the other monkeys that like only moved a little bit to eat, and they forced them to move all day. And the monkeys that needed to move or that couldn't move a lot ended up just laying down and dying. And the other monkeys, when they got out of the cages, went over and beat each other to death. So they theorized that there was like big monkeys and small monkeys. And in the training space, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
And Dr. Romanoff went through all these different athletes that were like small monkeys, where they only trained 3-4 days a week and they won a gold medal. But the minute that you put them in a high intensity program, they just imploded.
You mean everybody's different and you have to train differently for some people?
Yeah. And
Novel idea.
The thing is in college football and also in pro football, you had, especially offensive line, you have to be a big monkey.
Have to be a big monkey.
Whereas like there were quarterbacks who are small monkeys.
Yep.
Like, like I played with Tom Brady, and there was a kid with a little counter, and he counted every single throw Tom threw. And then all of a sudden, once he hit his number, he was done. And I played with other guys that could throw the ball like Patrick Mahomes can throw the ball 300 times in a practice. I think Tom got like 50 reps.
Jeez.
So they were like, and they know exactly like, hey, this guy's a big monkey, small monkey for those positions. Offensive line, you just have to be able to like run into a wall over and over again.
Yeah.
And the guys that don't kind of naturally select out don't make it. And so that was a big piece, and especially when we started looking at like how CrossFit people, and you obviously are the biggest monkey.
Was.
Yeah, well,
formerly.
Formerly a big monkey. But like, and you kind of set the pace. And I think what happened was it's kind of like in the Tour de France when Lance Armstrong would take off and all those dudes tried to chase him and he would just like grind him into the earth. I think you probably obliterated your competition just for the fact that you were training at such a high volume and a lot of guys couldn't handle it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, when we started, it was like one workout a day. And if you did more than one workout a day, you would probably die. Like your kidneys couldn't handle it and whatever. I remember the first time we did 2 workouts. It was a bench and pull up workout, in the morning, and then afternoon we did a second workout. And we were like, just waiting to die, and it didn't happen. Yeah. And so me and Darren from then on just kind of just started doing it, right? And it was just like second nature, right? It was like there's a lot that goes into it. In the last couple of years I've joked that I think there's some substance abuse is part of it, a little obsession, a little substance abuse, a little the way I was raised, right? But
oh, you mean that you have like a little like addictive personality?
Oh, yeah, for sure, 100%.
I always believe that there was a lot of people masking addictive personalities and maybe like a dependence. Like this is almost better than like AA to be able to get into CrossFit.
Exactly, that's me, 100%.
So if you have somebody, I guess you recognize that. So like very practically, if somebody's following, whether it's our program, your program, and how do they recognize in themselves? Because that's like the normal thing, like for the normal person, they see a workout and they're like, oh, I don't want to do that. It's too much work.
Yeah. That's Bird with rope climbs.
Well, I mean, think about this. Like
I actually did like the
online programming,
CrossFit football stuff because it had lifting. I like early on in my cherry picking workouts, I would look at main site and CrossFit football.
But you look at a lot of the stuff we do now, it's similar to CrossFit football because it's intervals. Like it's intervals. Like you can get more intensity when you break things, and people get so caught up in like, oh, I just got to do a 40. Like I'm thinking in the hunting space specifically, like, oh, I need to be hour ruck. That's it, and I need to do that every day. And I'm like, no, you need some like intense bursts, rest, intense bursts, like because you're just gonna run yourself in the ground. So sorry, I didn't mean to steal your.
It's the biggest issue with online programming.
Like, how do you know if you're a small monkey or a big monkey?
You're a small monkey.
I could put you through the training and I would know. The problem with online programming is you're basically programming for the bell curve, the middle of the bell curve. Mm-hmm. And the problem is you're going to have outliers on the top and the bottom. And unfortunately, there's not a good way to assess these people. And I'm sure you guys run in it, and that's why you have churn and burn. Mm-hmm. People come in and they look at it like, this is too much, this is too complicated, I don't have this equipment. Yeah. So you start looking at all the pain points. But if you can hit it, and I got into it the other day. The guy sent over an email, my assistant sent it to me. And I took it, and I was like, the guy's like, basically like critiquing it. And I kind of like basically was like, I got 30 minutes. Yeah. Sit down. And I sent this guy like a dissertation on everything. And he, of course, responded with like a one-line, kind of.
Smart ass.
No, it was more, I don't know, butthurt kind of, I'll use the word response because I don't think he understood it and didn't understand that there is a lot of physiology and science and experience. And on top of it, I've been doing this a long time.
Right? Yeah.
I think since 2009, we programmed at least one. At the time, it was CrossFit Football.
Yeah.
But then it became like 9 different training programs.
Yep.
It's something like over 4 million workouts delivered to hundreds of thousands of athletes with just millions of these data points. And yet after a while, you can kind of see like the Neo Matrix where you're like, all right, I know how to get people strong. I know how to get them jacked. I know how to get them really fit. And then you've tested on all these athletes and you know what the results are.
Yep.
And so if somebody sits outside that pool, they're either really high and it's not enough, or it's too much. And at that point, you have to dial back volume and intensity, and you have to look at it and be like, all right, I will never turn down the intensity button. Like, you can recover from intensity. And we did years ago, what's the guy's name? Abijayev came and gave the Bulgarian Olympic lifting coach, came and gave a talk for high school football on a program that he would use for Bulgarians to train high school football players.
Basically maxing out every day.
So he sent every single day. So somebody there sent me the program. And I was like, let's do it. I squatted between 450 and 550 for singles for 18 days in a row.
Yep.
And then on like the 19th day, I couldn't even squat 135. And I realized the problem is that like you can go with a lot of intensity, but you have to be so conscious of the volume. So everybody can handle intensity. How much volume they can handle is like big monkey, small monkey.
Yep.
So like, let's say somebody needs 3 reps. Because if you look at like Pro Open's table, you'd see like, somewhere between a magic of like 4 to 7. So like Rich could probably handle 10. You might be able to handle 4. You're still going to do the same deal. And like, you just have to figure out what you can recover from. And the greatest way to do it is, percentage of 1RM or intensity, and
then document how you feel. And hey, hey, I've done, when you have this, you can look at, all right, this week was good, and put a couple weeks together and you're like, okay, I'm good.
And now you start to kind of see what it looks like.
Exactly. But people don't want to do that. They want to be told what to do. Yeah. And I see that side of it. Like you pay for it, so you want to know that. But also, everybody's a little bit, and then you go and you get into nutrition too, and there's so many different things.
I also have a theory that the training that you do before puberty, there's like effectively priming of the pump.
Yeah.
We had Chris Summer on the podcast, who is a high-level gymnastics coach, developed like kids from like cradle to like Olympic champions. And he started talking about this idea of like exposing them to like GPP and like strength training pre-puberty. That they did a study that he referenced in Russia, where they had kids do a bunch of strength training, GPP, like kind of like what you'd see for CrossFit, pre-puberty, and then other kids didn't. Then at puberty, they all threw them in the same program. And the kids that had done this training beforehand developed strength and skills at a much higher level than the ones that didn't.
I think that's building the neuro early.
100%. But also there's a priming of the pump. Yeah. And so I think a lot of what people did before they started lifting weights, just like what we did for training as kids.
Yeah.
I did
go outside, ride your bike, climb trees.
So like at 6, I started in martial arts, and then we rode bikes and we played baseball and we did all these sports, and like where our house was like the bus stop. Yeah. So all the kids would get off and we had a basketball, like a hoop. Yep. So we had these like gnarly basketball games. Yep. And then my brothers played football and like just this whole thing. So I got to it, and all of a sudden I was like lifting weights, and I got stronger every week when other people weren't. Yep. And then I was able to put on size, and I grew, and I just like other people kind of flaked out. And I was like, I don't know. Every time I go in this weight room stuff, I get stronger. It's kind of addictive.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm one of 32 first cousins, 25 are boys. So everything we did was a competition, right?
That is the best training environment I've ever heard.
It really is, our uncles would shame us if the girls beat us, which they did regularly because they were pretty athletic,
That is, I'm so glad you said that. I personally believe one of the greatest training stimuluses is shame.
Shaming.
And the thought of like not being able to hold a standard.
100%.
Where like all of a sudden you're like, man, like what if I'm not good enough? Yeah. And the internal shame, like, I've told this story on our podcast, but I was a pretty fast runner, and like when I was in middle school. And then I grew like 4 inches.
Oh, okay. So they got gangly and a little.
I couldn't run. Yep. Like it was like literally like I like went from like all of a sudden like crushing everything to all of a sudden like I'm getting like C's on because they would time our runs and then give you a grade. Yeah. And all of a sudden I was like humiliated. I'm like, how am I going to go home and tell my mom I got a C in PE because I can't run fast? So I asked the teacher, and I was like, what can I do? And she's like, well, if you want to stay on Fridays, you can do extra credit runs. I'll give you more points. You get a better grade. So I like lied to my mom. I'm like, hey, I got to study extra on Fridays. And then I would run extra because I was so humiliated.
Disappointed in yourself?
Yeah, I was like 10 or 11, 12 years old. And I'm like, dude, like I can't come home.
I'm supposed to be the athlete.
Well, my brothers all played football. Yeah. So, but I was just like a little bit of shame. And then I realized that like, that's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
Like that's like, hey,
Motivating.
man, well, there's a certain standard that I hold myself to, and I have to meet that standard.
Heck yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, it's intrinsic for us because we were just born in that situation, you know. And I feel like nowadays it's tough, right? There's a balance to it, right? You don't want to belittle or, you know, you want to somehow develop it for them intrinsically. You know, I don't ever shame my kids about that type of stuff, but you can,
as a parent, you can't shame them, but if they have it a little bit internal,
and you're trying to like, how do you
cultivate it,
right? Yeah. So like Lakeland, my oldest, is starting to play middle school basketball. So she's 5th grade, and then she plays some garbage minutes on 6th grade. And so she plays a lot on 5th grade, and then she'll sit the bench on 6th, and you can just see it like stewing in her head that she's like wants to be out there. And she's like, Dad, what do I got to do? I'm like, practice, you know, like everything comes just natural to her. She's a good athlete. But she's just, the speed of game's way different. Those girls have been playing for a while and played serious, where she played rec ball. It was one Saturday, one practice a week, and now she's practicing 3 or 4 days a week, and she's getting good. But it was cool. It's cool to see her like, how do I get better? And so that for me as a dad, I'm like, hell yeah.
I think I have 2 daughters. I got twin girls, and I got a little boy. Raising daughters, I'm totally not equipped for. I grew up with all brothers.
Right.
Like I'm like, for years, the only girl we knew was my mom.
Right.
Like there were no girls on our street. It was all boys.
Yep, that's us.
And so having girls is really interesting because like we solve problems. Like, hey, I'm not good at this, practice more. Whereas like girls are not necessarily looking for you to solve their problem. No. I'm like, well, we can just go lift weights. We have this huge gym up on the deal. I mean, I train professional athletes. Like all these people
so
come.
I'm Lakeland. I'm like, hey, let's go get on the treadmill, sprints. Sprints.
Yeah. And they're like, no, Dad, I just want to I want you to listen to, and I'm just like, I'm not equipped for this.
I don't know what to do. Go to your mom.
And then my son will look at me and be like, I don't know. He's like, you want to go out and shoot 22s? I'm like, let's do it.
Yeah, Trice yesterday, the girls were gone. I was sitting in the sauna, and he always asks, and I'm like, you can't sit in the sauna. You know, I was like, yesterday, I was like, come on, Trice. He's like, what? I said, I'm going to go sit in the sauna. You want to go?
How hot a sauna are we talking about?
Well, I put him at the bottom. It was 140, 50 degrees. Okay. At the bottom is like 120. Like it's right by the door.
Yeah.
But it made his year.
Nice.
He was like, I put him in, I said, you got 10 minutes. You can sit with me. And dude, he was fired up. He's like, I can go. And so he loved it.
We have a barrel, and we go at like 187, 190.
Yeah, it's at 190 where I'm at, but down here he was probably 120.
Yeah, that
190 is real.
It's funny, like 175, I can sit in there all day.
Yeah.
190 at like 10 minutes, I start getting this like antsy feeling.
I'm gonna die. I rock for the last 5. I've been doing 25 minutes, and then 3-minute cold.
Yeah.
And that's my like morning routine. I get up 30 minutes earlier just to do it.
Yeah.
And it's been awesome. But it's that last 5 minutes. I listened to a book in there, and the last 5 minutes don't even count.
I was buying like sauna hats.
Yeah, we have
sauna hats. I like cold water to put my hands in. And I'll do 10, and then I go 30 seconds in the cold, and I get back for my other 10 one. And but yeah, that 187, 190 is it's
real.
And then my wife just like hanging out in there like all day and being like, oh, this is fine. I think I'm going to stretch a little bit. And I'm over there having like a panic attack. And she's like, are you okay? I'm like, no, I got to get out of here. And she's like in there for like 20 or 30 minutes and like stretching. Oh, I feel great. I'm like,
I can't get my wife in there. She's like, no, I'm not doing that. You got to sweat. But the kids loved it. Or Trice loved it. He was just like, but the crazy thing was the next 2 hours, it was like you gave him 20 candy bars. He was wide open. You know, like I was like, hey, you got to drink this whole glass of water while we're in here. You got to like, if I started, he didn't even break a sweat. He's 9.
Yeah.
And so he didn't even break a sweat.
Yeah,
he's like, Dad, why you sweat?
His face just got red.
Yeah, red.
And
he's sweat. Like, red.
Just dripping.
He was having a blast. He's like, why are we doing this? What's this? What's this? And I'm just like, I can't talk right now.
It's so hot in Texas that I try to convince my daughters that, like, you know, because my one daughter plays basketball, my other daughter plays soccer, that they need to get into the sauna for like a heat inoculation.
Yep.
And they were like,
nah, I'm not doing
F off.
Yeah. Honestly, in the summer, I got away from the sauna just because it is so hot and humid here where I just didn't want to do it. I went straight cold.
How bad is it here?
It can 90s, mid 90s, and then 90% humidity. I mean, you're probably 5 or 6 degrees, I think, cool or warmer.
Yeah.
But it's very similar.
Like 2 years ago, we were 70 days over 104.
Jeez.
Like Texas is the most angry, egregious place I've ever been. Like it's spiteful to the point where I tell my wife, I'm like, I'll go anywhere to get out of this place.
I'm in the summer. I'd go to Michigan.
If somebody knocked on our door and bought our house, I'd be like, I'm leaving this godforsaken place and I'm never going. What was it? The Davy Crockett was like, if I owned hell in Texas, I'd rent out Texas and live in hell.
Yep.
It's that terrible.
That terrible, huh?
Yeah, it's hot.
Yeah.
It's just
Bird's
spiteful.
from Louisiana, so he's
Where at?
Baton Rouge.
Baton Rouge. Oh yeah, that's a sweaty place too.
sweaty place. That's the hard part.
Dude.
The humidity.
It's the humidity that gets you.
No, it's swamp. So the Brazilians I train for jits. They're from like North Brazil. So Victor's from Fortaleza, and that's the sweatiest place. To the point where like he's like, oh, nobody has any air conditioning. So the other day when we
How do you
rolled,
sleep there? I couldn't. Like, it has to be 67 degrees, or I will not sleep.
I think it's carbs.
You think so?
I think it's carbs, that they eat a lot of carbs. It makes them tired because they eat like rice and beans, and they're like a pretty carb heavy diet. And then when they try to come to the States and eat that same diet, they all like get kind of lunchy.
Yeah.
So like I think it's vitamin D exposure, or they're just way tougher than we are.
Yeah. And that's as I've gotten older too. The like heat and humidity, I want no part of. Yeah. I'll take the cold any day.
Yeah, no problem. I can sit in the ice tub all day.
I can layer up. I can do whatever, but heat just sucks. All right, so now you're training a lot of jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, so I Shanji Hibero, who's my coach. Shanji's like considered like the Rich Froning of jiu-jitsu, or the Michael Jordan of jiu-jitsu, right?
Better, make sure Michael Jordan's better.
So Shanji's like a 20-time world champion and considered like one of the best in the world to ever do it. Like Roger Gracie, they consider to be the best. I think he lost 5 times. He lost 3 times to Shanji. So Shanji's pretty legit.
Pretty good.
So my daughter was swimming a bunch, and she got kind of burned out because they wanted her in the pool. Like it was like
pool swimming is ridiculous.
It was 3 hours a day, 5 days a week. So after and she's like 9 or 10.
No.
So she's like, Dad, I want to try something else. And I was like, I had, there's a guy named Craig Douglas who does like a combative steel, and he came on the podcast and he invited me to come on his combative steel. And basically I'm pretty good on my feet because I boxed and played in the NFL, but laying on my back, I'm like a big turtle.
Yeah.
So in the NFL, if I end up on my back with a guy on top of me, everything's going to go, and I don't have a job anymore. So we ended up kind of going to this combatives thing, and I ended up like laying flat on my back with this dude on top of me who was like 300 pounds. But used to be 360, so he's like a big water balloon. This guy, Nick, he's a super nice dude. And he was a jiu-jitsu. I want to say he's like a brown belt. He passed my guard, took my gun, and shot me with a sim right here where I still have a scar. And he also got me right here. And one of the instructors was like, dude, you got to learn to like fight off your back a little bit. And I was like, what do I do? And he's like, I'm going to give you this guy's number. So he gave me Shanji's number. He was one of his black belts. So I called Shanji, and he was like, typical Brazilians, I'll call you back, hear from them. And the Brazilians aren't great with time. So I ended up taking my daughter up. She's like, I want to try jiu-jitsu. So I took her up to Shanji's place, let her do jits, and we just kind of became friends. And then he asked me, he's like, hey, you're good at lifting weights? And I'm like, oh, I'm all right at it. And he's like, I got some young guys that are really like high-level professionals, but they haven't trained. Would you work with them? And so I met them, and there was like, kids in their early 20s, and like, at the time I didn't know anything about jiu-jitsu, and I was like, they were just, I didn't know what their skill level was. I just know that they are the nicest kids. Like I joke that I adopted all these Brazilians, like huge hearts, just the nicest kids you would ever want. Like when everybody talks about this generation, it's not these kids.
Not these kids.
Yeah, these kids grew up like in Brazil, where like money, like it's just a different class, like a different group of human beings.
Yeah.
Like all grew up in the church, so they're all like, like just
solid kids,
nicest kids.
Yeah.
Like people that you would want to have over to your house and introduce to your family. Yeah. And so I met the kids, and I was like, let's do it. So I worked with them and trained them for 2 years for ADCC. Okay. And, and then at that point, I thought it was disingenuous that I was training them and I didn't know anything about jiu-jitsu. So then they sucked me in, and then I started doing it. And it's been really good for me for the fact that when football ended, I figured like that combative style of my life had kind of ended.
Right.
And I would go box and stuff, but I wasn't ever going to get in the ring and compete.
Right.
So it was just like hitting the heavy bag or kind of doing some light stuff. And then when I got into jits and I went out there and I was like, it's great to have something to train for. And I realized what I was missing in my life was I just didn't have anything to train for. Like you've got into hunting and some other things, but you need to have that feeling.
Have something, man.
Yeah. Like this is what gets me
100%.
up.
Yeah. Especially that's your background, right? That's what you did your whole life. Yeah.
And then also my wife makes a joke. She's like, you wouldn't be into this if you weren't training the best guys in the world. I'm like, 100%. Like a high tide rises all boats, iron sharpens iron.
I'm in.
You know, like I'd like appreciate if it was just some like black belt dad bod dude who was teaching stuff. I wouldn't have been into
doing it. Heck no.
But you show up with like a 25-year-old Brazilian kid who is absolutely smashing you.
Yeah.
And then being like, as he's choking up, being like, "You're doing so good. I'm so proud of you." And you're like,
"Shut up."
F you.
Two things. So the one thing we've talked about getting into jiu-jitsu. Do you have any major injuries, or did you have any major? Yeah, you got sidelined. You said, but like, how does that go with jiu-jitsu? Like,
so I have an issue. I have like a bone chip in the back of my knee, which is limiting range of motion.
Yep.
And then
sheer pain when you get past that range of motion.
Well, it just stuck.
Yeah.
So I was supposed to get a surgery like 10 years ago.
Okay. Yep.
And I just had put it off.
Which knee?
My right one.
Okay, I got a left.
And then my shoulder's dinged up, so I can't put my hand over my head anymore.
All right, we got almost the same thing. Because I've always I've wanted to try jiu-jitsu, but I'm like.
To finish, hopefully this will give you a little bit of solace. Because of the training we do, we've found a way to develop incredible range of motion in the hips, and so because I'm so flexible in my hips, I can cheat everything. Okay. So like I have like an interesting way that I play where people don't know that I'm limited in these ways. All right. So the problem is a lot of guys come in that don't have hip flexibility.
Right.
And because they don't have that hip flexibility, they can't really do shit.
All right.
And so the other problem too is people really suck with like no transverse rotation.
Yep.
So like the ability to be here and be able to do frames. Yeah. And it's just it just comes down to like, does the training allow you to do
compensating?
What you,
right.
Yeah. And
I'm really good at compensating.
And I can. I'm sure.
Yeah.
I think it's just being able to hide it. But like, for example, Victor, who I train, who's a top ultra, when he came to me, he had L4, L5 to the point where it was so crippling that when he went to the ADCC, he couldn't fight on his feet. Okay. He had to literally start on his back and like just basically like sit down because he couldn't stand on his feet.
Jeez.
And he's one of the best in the world off of his feet. Now, what's weird is if he's on his feet, his level of athleticism is probably about a 3 or a 4.
Really?
You put that dude on his butt,
and he's
an 11.
Really?
I've never seen anybody. It's like you take that guy off his feet, and his ability to move on his back and be able to do all these kind of under stuff for a guy his size is like nothing I've ever seen. To the point where he's, it's frightening to roll with him.
Really?
The other day, there's a thing called they call it octopus guard, where you're in side control, and he kind of sat up, grabbed his leg, and then kind of like got me off balance, kicked his leg underneath, put it in, and did like a Turkish get up with me on his hip. Jeez. And I'm like literally, like I started kind of like, whoa. Yeah, because I thought he was going to dump me on my neck. Because I'm thinking of all the, torturing them on the bikes and all the training stuff.
He's like I'm going to get this bastard. Yeah.
And thank God he didn't hurt me. But I'm always like, dude, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me.
Oh,
but cool. It's been really just, it filled a bucket I didn't know I was missing.
Right.
With not only community, but also being around some young guys that were training hard. Because the problem is my age, like most of these dads
get old,
don't do anything.
Nope.
And then they're like, oh man, you look pretty fit. What are you doing? I'm like, I get beat up by these Brazilians and I try to kick their ass every day. So it's been good for me.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, I think the other thing that was the first thing. Then the second thing I think is exactly what you said and what we kind of preach here with Mayhem, with Hunt is train for something. Have something you look like. I'm not a goals guy. I don't look, especially now with the barbell. I'm never going to hit a PR again on a barbell, right? And so for me, those days are gone. But I can put a date on the calendar that's a CrossFit. Like I did 3 local partner competitions, one in July, one in August, and just finished one this last weekend in October. And then hunting season. And then 2 years ago, for 2 years, I did Leadville, the 100-mile mountain bike race. And I need something exactly like you're saying. I need something to maybe obsess a little bit about. But like, yeah, 100%, as long as it's not sacrificing, family time, because I'm at that point in my life. Sure. But like, I still need to not feel dangerous, but you need to feel like, dangerous a little bit, right? Like, I need to do something that's, worthwhile or worth training for, or else what's the point? Why am I, grinding in the gym or doing whatever if you don't have a date on the calendar that you're aiming at, right?
Well, it's also so this is an interesting piece. Is I think, I don't know, like I said, I think as a pro athlete, like you live in this weird ivory tower where like I said, I got the chance to one-on-one fist fight the toughest dudes in the world for a decade. Yeah. Every Sunday in front of millions of people wearing white spandex. And like when you break it down like that, people are like, really? I'm like, yeah, I never touched a ball, right? Like I just got to basically impose my will. And I think that
ever recovered a fumble or anything?
I think I did.
Okay.
I know a ball bounced up one time and I got it and like 17 people hit me at once. And then the next time that similar thing came up, I just kicked it out of bounds.
Get out of here.
I was like, man, I don't want to touch this thing because my hands were so like taped up.
Yeah, you can't even grab the thing.
And but that like level of addiction of like, I know exactly who I am and what I'm doing. And I know the results of my hard work.
Right.
And, dude, I was telling somebody the other day, I'm like, don't be upset about the results you didn't get because you didn't do the work.
Yeah.
We just had our big Power Athlete Collective for all of our coaches. And John McPhee, who's a former Delta guy, he was on like Rogan and Sean Ryan. He teaches some shooting stuff. So he came out and taught a shooting course for us. Nice. And, like you guys, like I hunt every night and I carry conceal, so I shoot constantly. Like I feel like if I'm going to carry a gun, I need to be proficient.
Sure, 100%.
So like once a month I dry fire, but then once a month I stop, I shoot my duty loads, reload, and then I go back. So we got out and we were shooting and I was watching guys shoot and like they were like all over the place. And one of the guys had like a pretty badass race Kimber. And like he was like, I don't know what he was aiming at. I was like, let me see that thing. And I basically keyholed like 10 shots. And he's like, man, I'm like, yeah, but I actually shoot.
I practice.
Yeah. Like, don't be upset that like you didn't get it in when you don't do this.
Yeah.
And I think the same thing for jits and for fighting combatives, because I run into people all the time, be like, oh, I'd be able to handle myself. I'm like, really?
I don't know.
I was like, what if the dude knew how to fight?
Yeah.
Or what if like these situations, like, and do you have the stamina? Have you ever taken a shot? Like, do you really know? Have you ever tasted, the Fight Club? Have you ever tasted your own blood?
Tasted your own blood?
Yeah. Have you ever broken a finger and had to reset it in between plays? And like that level of readiness.
Everybody's got a plan until he gets punched in the mouth.
Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like I've been in that situation.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, many times.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's good to know that like you have a plan
right,
and you've prepared for these things. And I think a lot of people just haven't.
Yeah.
And
I mean, even to the hunting side of it, we practice archery. I lean towards archery more.
Yeah.
Rifles, we went out and shot rifle because we are going this week.
What are you going for?
Rifle
elk?
Hunting? Yeah, elk.
Nice.
And so went out, tested a new rifle that we just got from SIG. It's awesome.
What are you shooting?
7 mil PRC.
Oh,
I've been shooting a 300 Win, but that 7 mil yesterday,
yeah,
it felt good.
So I bought my son a 6-arc.
Okay.
Yeah, so that small frame Q LLC, that minifix and 6-arc, that thing's a laser beam.
Dude, this thing, out to 1,000. First, we had some dope from one of our buddies that has a similar round. First shot, bullseye, 1,000 yards. I was like, and we're on a sled, like a gun sled,
sure,
but still, it blew my mind. It was nice. But so we shoot archery a ton, and so we try to, and we catch flack on the internet because we'll do cardio and try to shoot. Why do
you get flack on that?
Because guys are like,
bad mechanics.
Bad mechanics. It's the same technique versus intensity thing that you hear in CrossFit all the time of like, there's a fine line that you're trying to hit, right?
So I was very fortunate to get a Thule elk, which is in California.
Okay,
they're endangered.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So my buddy, a friend of ours, is 18,000 acres in California.
Okay.
I think he's the third largest private landowner.
It's big in California.
Yeah, it's big. So he gets landowner tax.
Okay.
That's the only way you're going to be able to hunt Thule elk.
For sure.
So we went out to go hunt those a couple of years ago,
Yeah.
and we chased those things through the mountains for 3 days with bows.
So awesome, right?
I never got within a half a mile of these things. They would bugle, and we would run, and like I'd go there, and they'd be like a mile this way.
Always.
So then on the
They're
fourth
ghosts.
day, the guy was like, "Hey man, like
Here's a rifle."
Yeah. So I shot a 300 Win Mag.
Okay.
And it was like I think just over like 515.
Yep.
190 grain, hit it in the shoulder, knocked it down, and I was like, "Oh, thank God we brought rifles," because I have never killed anything big with a bow. I've shot turkeys and like, some small deer,
Just still.
but like never. And then I see like my buddies out in Oregon that are basically bow hunting these like Roosevelt elks, like 1,000 pounds and like taking these things down. Like Andy Stump posts some stuff. I'm like,
how?
But then I realized like one, you got to be super proficient. You got to put yourself in the situation and you have to have the time to invest to go out to it. It's not like somebody's dropping you in.
Nope.
In Texas, they have what I call the peanut butter hunts.
Oh, yeah.
Where the guys put peanut butter on the end of the barrel and the thing comes over, licks it, and they shoot it.
Yeah.
I see that stuff all the time. I went to a guy's house and they had this like, they've been feeding all these like crazy minerals and all this thing. And I'm like, that's embarrassing. Why do you want that thing on?
Right.
And he's like, show me he's in this blind.
Yep.
They have a camera, they're drinking, and they shoot this thing at like 5 yards. And I'm like, that's not hunting.
Right.
In Texas, that's kind of hunting.
Hey.
Like, I feel like you got to suffer for it a little bit.
Yeah, there's, we've been on hunts where first day we killed something by grace of God, and it's still awesome. But man, the first one that I killed, it took me 5 trips, like 30-something days, and that's the only one that's hanging on the wall, and it's a 5x5. It's not even a big elk, but it's, it means something. Yeah. And so, it's the shared suffering. It's the brotherhood. It's the, memories you have with that. But, it's having that date and having something to push towards or train for. And, to go back to, we'll do high heart rate shooting. We've done like 80% of a deadlift for 3 or 4 reps, shoot on the minute. and, you know, just to tax that nervous system. But guys are just like, oh, you can't do that. And you're like, no, because when that animal walks out and you start doing this, you know, it's a way different experience.
Yeah, I watch like Bert Soren and those guys.
Okay,
you know, dude, like Bert and those guys are like hitting shots at like 80 yards. So I like go out and of course I set up. I'm like, let me see if I can hit these things, and I'm just losing $20 arrows to the point where they're like going in the grass and I have
can't find them.
I'm like,
that's the worst.
Man, I just lost like 200 arrows trying to hit this thing.
I thought archery was cheaper than shooting rifles. Yeah,
and then I got to go buy new arrows, and the guy's got to
explain it, and
oh my god.
Well, we got a bow shop here. If you move to Cookeville, there you go.
Man,
still hot, but not as
it's not as hot.
And you get like 2 to 3 months. Like what I always tell people is you got about
6 weeks of hot.
You got 6 to 8 months of great weather, and then you have 2 months of hot, 2 months of cold.
I'm naive on Tennessee. We're in Nashville, and you're east of Nashville.
Yeah, we're an hour east of Nashville, an hour and a half west of Knoxville, and about an hour and a half north of Chattanooga. Okay. So like Tennessee, I always tell people when I was a kid, I always thought it looked like a rifle, like a slanted rifle. We're like almost in the middle, but more towards the east.
Yeah. So
right at the Appalachian Mountains are starting right now.
Gotcha.
We're like in the foothills.
Yeah. Like is it called the Smoky Mountains?
Smoky Mountains. Yeah.
Yeah. Like that's a pretty area. Like we were driving around. Like this is beautiful,
and it's starting to switch colors, and it's awesome.
Texas is by far the ugliest state I've ever lived in.
Hill country. I went hunting in hill country the first time. This year, and
that's where we live.
Okay.
And it's the only part that's at least doable.
Yeah.
But we haven't got rain in like 5 months.
Oh, okay.
So the entire thing is covered in dust and dirt.
We were in Amarillo this last weekend.
Oh, that's
and
ugly.
It's just great. Until you get to Palo Duro Canyon. I don't know if you've been to Amarillo, and we do a mountain bike race there, 24-hour 4-man relay there every year, and it's beautiful. Like I didn't know, I'd gone to Amarillo a bunch of times, and then they're like, hey, we're going to go ride in the canyon. I'm like, canyon? You're flat, huge canyon, and it's beautiful. But
and then even like I think it's Big Bend, that whole area down there is real pretty. But for the most part, Texas is pretty ugly. I mean, I can say that
because you live there.
Well, and also I'm from California,
okay.
And I think the problem is like you become such an elitist in California just for the fact that
the weather's perfect everywhere you go,
and it's the most beautiful state in the planet.
It really is.
I was a couple years ago, we did a ride for Indian Motorcycle.
Okay,
they were coming out with this new bike called Epic Pursuit, so they flew us to San Francisco. And we rode these bikes down like one all the way through to Joshua Tree.
Oh, wow.
So it was like 8 days where I got to like basically ride through. And I grew up in California, but I had never ridden a motorcycle like that. I mean, we're driving through like Morro Bay and like like all the Cambria.
Good spots.
And I'm like, I can't believe I live in Texas. So I don't know. We'll see where we go. But about every 7 years, I get the itch to move. So we're going to look at some maybe potentially look at some new places.
There you go.
But my daughters are in 8th grade, so they're getting ready to go to high school.
Oh, okay. So
and
so
we're
through that.
We're kind of in a weird spot.
Yeah.
So we'll see how they go. But I do like the fact that I can hunt my land, and I do that every single night because I have to kill invasive species.
Yep.
So I have a tripod, thermal rifle, and I shoot kind of a SBR 308, and then my son's got like that 6 arc, and we had like a 300 blackout. And
so he's on the cams too.
He's in.
Nice. How old is he?
9.
Okay. Him and Trice is 8.
He killed his first deer last year.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah, so I ended up shooting a big buck.
Yeah.
And for some reason, the 2 does that he was chasing just were kind of like the next day were like just milling around lost. And I was like, man, like we could use those does. So I shot the 1 doe, and the other doe didn't run. He's like, Dad, can I shoot it? And so he got behind that 308, pulled it, like knocked it down at 80 yards, and I was like, oh,
you did.
And then like it was nothing, like didn't even hesitate. And I looked at him, I was like, what? He's like, oh, it's the same reticle from Fortnite.
Oh, jeez.
And I was like, what is this game?
What is it?
And so he's been playing this Fortnite game, and they were like, he's like a wizard shooting this thing. And I was like, dude. And he's like, can I get a gun? I'm like, yes.
Yeah, heck yeah.
Let's go get it right now.
Yeah.
And so he'll go out there, and I think it's going to spoil him because we shoot everything suppressed.
Yeah.
And we just sit in the back and plink and set up targets and different things. And he loves it.
That's awesome. Heck yeah.
So like you can't do that in California.
His son killed 3 does the other night. We were at
Crossbow.
Friend of ours runs a he's got 1,500 acres. Is that what it was?
Oh,
they take
so he's got landowners.
So
has hunting season started?
It has, but Tennessee, you can kill 3 does a day.
You can kill 2 antlered bucks for the entire season and 3 does a day. And so this guy has 1,500 acres. He takes critically ill kids and vets on hunts. And so, they're mostly buck hunts. And so he's just got all these does that need to be cleaned up. So 8 of us went out there the other night, and Jai, his son, was the only one that killed. we all had deer, but none within range. Nothing was within like 70 yards. And Bird's texting the group. He's like, killed one, reloaded. Killed another one, reloaded. Killed the third one, we're done. And I was like, you bastard.
So we, for our wildlife exemption, I have to like basically cull 5 does.
Yeah.
And we're supposed to take $1 or like $2. So for like 1 year, I decided just to kind of like let him go, and I didn't take any bucks. And then that next year, about a week before hunting season, he got hit on the road.
Oh.
And my wife's like, the big buck's on the road. And so I like jumped in my truck, and somebody had like, and people take roadkill all the time in Texas. So somebody ended up putting in the back of the truck and was driving away. I could see my rack.
His antlers.
And I was like, oh, so now I realize when I see him, I got to take him down.
That's the neighbors around here. Nothing's growing past a 4-point. Not a chance.
So this is interesting, and maybe you have opinion on this, but I always thought that like the genetics were either like an 8-point or a 10-point or this.
Yeah.
I didn't know that they could actually grow from like an 8 to a 10 and kind of grow into more things.
Yeah, I think genetics have a lot to do with it, and you get some goofy type stuff and different, points off of them. But yeah, a lot of it has to do with the doe, right? I think
everyone's different. Some of them are just like skank racks, but
so for years I've been killing 8 points because I wanted to try to let the 10-point genetics go. And I told that to a guy, and he's like, "That's not a real thing." I'm like, "Did I just learn?" Well, yeah. I was like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "No, 8 points will grow into 10 points." And I was like, "No way. Have I been like misdoing this all these years?" And then I realized, I'm like, man, maybe I'm not country enough.
You're eating it. You're good.
Oh, we always
good?
do. Yeah, we have an incredible processor. We take it.
I mean, there's guys
I ate deer sausage last night.
Right.
We do like I'll cook it in like a big I guess like a Dutch boy pot, and then we just put in like tomato sauce, and I make the kids like spaghetti.
Spaghetti, heck yeah.
Yeah, with that deer sausage, and like, this is great.
Perfect. I'm sure a lot of the guys on here would be like, I never shoot an 8-point, but I'm an equal opportunity, especially here in Tennessee. Where we're at in Tennessee, all of our neighbors are going to shoot something if it's an 8 or less. I had one of my neighbors told me he shot a big-bodied spike here one year, and I was like, sweet,
big-bodied spike,
big-bodied spike, yeah. So
yeah, I do need to shoot my bow more, but I find myself
it's almost like therapeutic. I that's why I do it. Like I just enjoy, with a gun, you got to there's just way more into it, right? With a bow, we've got pavers from 20 yards out to 100 in the front yard, and then we've got 5 targets over here that we can shoot.
Property.
Yeah, it's beautiful here. And then, you got the stressful part about not shooting the bison behind the target, but other than that, it's pretty good.
It's a lot of land to manage.
Yeah.
So like I said, we have a little Barton Creek runs through our property.
Yeah.
And because the old man built a dam, it's kind of like capture water, but it's super overgrown. And so I've been cleaning this thing out and have to manage all this land and you got to have equipment. I got to have stuff to fix the equipment, and the amount of work that I have to do when people talk about land, I'm like,
yep.
I would have land, but I want to have a house about 10 miles away that's on a piece of property where I never had I want to have where I could cut the lawn with scissors.
Yep. And then you want
and then I want something like this because we're all on one.
Yep.
And then I would just build it, and then because I work on trucks and fabricate.
Yeah.
So, which is another one. If you're going to have all stuff, well, you got to be able to weld.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So if you can't weld,
that's why you and Watkins were talking welding.
And trucks and all that. That's the greatest way to learn to weld.
Yep.
Is just fabricate off-road trucks.
Yeah. Heck yeah. Cool.
Yeah. So,
I do have a question. Talking sport-specific training, you went from football to all of a sudden just training these jiu-jitsu guys.
Yeah.
Didn't know much about it. Right. So just what did you learn in there, or immediately say, well, I need to train this differently for these guys compared to?
So there was a lot of epiphanies that I had in the training model, in that the theories I had about training were one thing, but then when you start going and teaching seminars, and I was very fortunate to teach hundreds of seminars around the globe, and basically people would show up for the CrossFit deal, and I get to put them through a 2-day strength and conditioning, I guess you could say, diagnostic. And I realized that the people that I was working with were the least athletic versions of themselves. And the reason being is that they'd effectively morphed into something that just looked like sagittal plane bilateral hip hinging. And, the problem is that's the way the CrossFit was designed, CrossFit main site, is that it was just nothing but bilateral hip hinging in a sagittal plane. And athleticism happens in 3 planes of motion, sagittal, frontal, and transverse. Different, primal patterns, X, Y, and Z axis. You'll be able to step, squat, and lunge, in the different upper body stuff. And so what I did is I looked at the model for sport, like let's say like, athleticism. And then I created my own definition of athleticism based upon, what we had seen, which was the ability to seamlessly and effortlessly combine primal movement patterns through space to accomplish a known or novel task. And based upon that model of athleticism, similar to CrossFit defined fitness, I defined athleticism. Now, this is where things get really wild. Fitness is personal, right? So to say that fitness is universal is a complete misnomer, right? Being as like the fitness that you need to hunt is different than the fitness that you needed to win the CrossFit Games.
Yep.
So to say that everybody has the same degree of fitness just didn't make sense to me. Athleticism, it's universal. You can watch somebody, and I told Rory this. I obviously saw you in the CrossFit Games. I'm like, man, this guy's killing it. But I didn't know whether or not you were athletic or not.
Right.
And then I saw you play like a flag football.
Oh, yeah.
And you rolled out and you threw back across your body. And I was like, he's athletic.
That's
right. So for me, I had to see you do something.
Like that.
I get that. Something athletic.
I get that.
Just basically
100%.
going in a front like straight line, just basically suffering.
You can't. It's not athleticism.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I remember Kalipa, right? Like they did that zigzag run, and he looked like he almost broke his ankles.
Yeah.
And like I've trained with Jason, I've seen him, and that's not his strong suit. It's not athleticism.
He's a power freaking straightforward athlete. But in that, if you give him one task, right?
Yeah. And so what I'm focused on is how do I make the most athletic version of yourself? Because athleticism is the ultimate like pretty girl in the room, right? Like I'm not a Ferrari guy, but if a front engine V12 Ferrari pulls up, I'm going to hear that noise and I'll be like, oh my God, that thing sounds amazing. So athleticism to me is the gold standard. So how do I take somebody and make a more athletic version of themselves? So when I started training these guys, I knew that they were highly skilled at jiu-jitsu, right? But I didn't know how athletic they were. So I put them into the same model because I had always viewed athleticism in terms of like standing on your feet. Like imagine a linebacker, being able to move. But now all of a sudden you talk about people that play a sport that's all more competitive sport that's like a 360 gyroscope. They have to be strong in positions which I had never seen, like on your back here and this. I mean, just play bottom, play top. And so when I put them into the model, and then the feedback I got from Shanji is they're strong in positions they should not be strong in. They have something different than what they had before. And that was kind of the piece I knew. And I was like, oh, so athleticism exists. It doesn't matter if you're standing on your feet or on your back, but they also have to have a high-level training environment, right? Like the training is one thing, but the sport-specific adaptation and who's around you and the competition, these guys have the most competitive training environment I've ever seen. Like I've never seen people go in and legitimately try to kill each other for hours. And with that, it's like, so they have the environment, they have the skill, they have the early adaptation, and they learned all that before they were strong. So I always think too, like Olympic lifting, if somebody's pretty strong when they come to Olympic lifting, they're just going to muscle the bar. Mm-hmm. If they're pretty weak when they start Olympic lifting,
they got to figure it out.
Then they got to figure it out, and then they get strong later. These guys started at such a young age before they were strong. All they had was technique, and then they grew big, and we gave them strength, and now they're just savages, and like in a good way. I used that word once, and this African dude was like, "That's kind of a like not a good word in Africa." And I was like, "Well, here, if somebody said the guy's a savage in the NFL, but dude's a savage, that's a good thing to us." But it was just basically there is a model for athleticism, and that when you put people into the model that we've developed within the training space, I can improve upon that. And then what's also cool with the way that with athleticism, the blueprint I created, I can lay that on top of other people's programs and see where they're deficient and then help them. Be like, okay, why can't I do this? Well, show me where you train this. Uh-huh. Like one of the ones that we talk a lot about is hip extension. Mm-hmm. Hip extension only happens when you sprint, when the knee's behind the glute. That's it. Yeah. So like just standing up and like closing your hips on a squat is not hip extension. Hip extension only happens when the knee's behind the glute. So how do you train that if you don't sprint? Like maybe like a Bulgarian split squat. But you have to sprint. You have to do things where your knee's behind the glute because that's one of the fundamental patterns of athleticism. If you don't do something with the knee behind the glute, then like you're leaving terrible you're not training hip extension. Yeah. And then how would you understand these positions? If I don't understand how to move my trunk and be stable and strong in these different positions, like if you don't train it or you don't know to train it, then how do you know what you're deficient in? Mm-hmm. I think what was fascinating about jiu-jitsu is that they're constantly looking for like pressure tests where somebody's weak. Can this guy play this guard in here? And people get kind of stuck into one side, but I need them to be both bilaterally strong. And then also never putting them in a situation where we ever take away from who they are in their wheelhouse. It'd be like for you, like you had a wheelhouse that you knew
snatching,
in the CrossFit
overhead
game.
squatting, whatever. Yeah,
it's not as if
get deficient in that.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like you should, like the age old, like just train your weaknesses. I thought was horse shit.
Yeah.
probably my profanity if I use any of it. I didn't know if we were, but so for me, I was always like, I always had fast hands. So I remember I ran into Michael Strahan at a club in New York years ago, and he's like, when we get in there, the one thing they circle you is when they call you the straw that stirs the drink, but they also are like, your hands are so fast, don't let this guy get his hands on you. And that was what I was. I was fast, like I could set to a position,
train those,
bend my knees, and I could shoot my hands. And I knew like whether you're playing hot hands or whatever. Like my brothers and I played that on car trips for hours.
Right.
So I was always fast hands, and like we did speed bag. I did everything to keep my hands fast, and like that was what quick punch, fast hands. I was never not going to train that.
Right.
So you have to decide. And I talked to all the young guys that we train is like, what's your wheelhouse? What do you do better than anybody else? Let's pour gas on that and then bring the other things up.
Yeah,
cool. As you come. So training athletes is really interesting, and you guys know this. Like our brains and our eyes are designed to see symmetry. Right? When you watch somebody move, like somebody can step off of a curb and just like I watched you, roll out. I watched him roll out and throw across his body, and I was like, I've seen athletic people do that, and I've seen unathletic people try to do that.
Sure.
And if it doesn't look seamless and effortless and not easy,
it's different.
Yeah. But you can train that with repetition. And I've watched, Tom Brady, incredible, but he is able to fool people into thinking he's more athletic than he says because he was so regimented. But like if you watch him, like he probably can't jump rope real well. I mean, he's better today than he used to be. But like his mechanics and his perfection and his attention to detail was like nothing I ever saw.
He just doesn't pick stuff up fast.
Yeah. But he's so driven
that he would do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. He'd figure it out.
Yeah. Whereas I played with other guys that we had a backup quarterback guy named AJ Feely, So if you saw AJ, he kind of looked like an accountant. And he was one of our backups. Like he just like you didn't think he was a football player. And I remember we played in a celebrity golf tournament, and like the place we were at had a basketball court. He like went out and like shot this fadeaway, and I was like,
"Wait a minute!"
I was like, "Where'd that come from?" And like I realized he just was unassuming, but was incredibly athletic and moved really well. And that was the interesting thing, man. There were guys that like forced their way through it, like putting like like their shoulder to the wind. I'm going to move this rock, and then there were other people that was just seamless and effortless.
Gifted. Yeah,
just gifted. So
you still watch NFL?
I do.
Who's your team now?
I root for different teams based upon players. Okay. So I worked with a kid named Will Fries who came to me in his contract year. He ended up signing 5 years, $80 million last year.
Where at?
He was in the Colts. He went to the Vikings.
Okay.
So now I've been watching him, and he's been playing great.
Cool. And Lions fan, so. I was born in Michigan, so.
Oh, were you?
Yeah.
How'd you get down here?
My dad worked for TRW, made airbag inflators. They moved the plant down here, and so we've been here ever since.
Oh, wow. Yeah. It's not a bad place to end up.
No, it's pretty good. So, but yeah, I'm a Detroit sports fan, so it's been a rough upbringing.
Hank Fraley, who played center for me, or center next to me at the Eagles, he's the offensive line coach.
Oh, yeah, Fraley's awesome. Yeah, heck yeah.
Yeah,
they've got a good group there now with Dan and Calvin Shepard and – dude, they're fun to watch at least.
They have a great staff, and it's a good style of football.
Yeah, I love it.
I love how everything runs in patterns. Like I was watching Scadaboo play.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, that dude has about a 3-year expiration.
Oh yeah, that's what we were saying. I said 3 is high. Yeah, that's a high expiration.
He might not make it out of this year.
No, and like it's fun to watch.
Yeah,
you don't care,
dude. It's great. I love the fact that I cannot believe that many teams. Like past him.
Yeah.
I was watching.
I didn't really watch him until we were driving to Oklahoma, and we watched that playoff game with Arizona State and
the bowl game they played, or
Texas maybe.
Or
what? It went.
Dude, that was the first time I ever saw him too, and I was like,
oh, all right.
I was like,
he's puking on the sidelines.
Oh my! I was so impressed, and then when I got into the draft, and I'm like, I can't believe somebody's not going to take a chance on this kid.
Yeah, why would
and teams passed up on him, and that kid's running the rock like.
Oh yeah.
I haven't seen anybody run the rock like that since like John Riggins, John Allstott. Like I played with guys like that.
We just talked about this on a podcast, how it's like coming back around to like the fullback, tight end, fullback-ish era.
Well, so the NFL got kind of neutered. Mm-hmm. Became just like the big pass game.
Yep.
And the problem is that the defenses became so just unwilling to hit anybody.
Yep.
That I think now that like the offenses are like, well, the defenses are so soft because they're nervous to hit anybody. Let's just put a big fullback in there.
Yeah.
So now you see teams actually running a fullback. I was like, I can't believe it. This is the best.
Yeah.
This is the football I like.
This is the football you like. Heck yeah.
Yeah. It's great to see. It's like I do like watching pro football, and the biggest reason now too is just they have so many cameras. Like I remember the first time I was playing and they were stringing cameras above us. It was kind of like a little like
unnerving.
Yeah. Like all of a sudden there's like a camera like right above your head and it's aimed right at you and you're like, I just got a holding penalty and this thing's on me.
Yeah.
But now they have I think something like 75 cameras. Yeah. And if you ever see they're like shooting all over and they can 3D model stuff. So all of a sudden they pull it out and they do this 360 thing.
Oh yeah, I've seen it.
It's incredible. I think what they've done better than anything is they've made it such a fan experience from home that like
you understand what's going on.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What else you guys got?
Anything else?
Did we cover it all?
I think we covered it all, John. That was awesome.
That's about it. Yeah, that's great.
Dude, one, I'm bummed that I haven't met you guys before.
Yeah, I know.
Dude, I'm
you know, appreciate you, brother.
Big fan.
Hang out anytime.
Yeah, thank you for having me, dude. This is great. And if there's any way I can ever help or contribute, just let me know.
Cool. That's cool. Let's do it. Anything else, Scott? That's good. Cool.
See you.